You won't remember this, I'm sure, but in 1978, there was a serial killer named Ted Bundy who went on a rampage in Florida at the University in Tallahassee, and he massacred 2 girls in a sorority house, and he went into another girl's room to kill her. He had the weapon, the blood from the other girls on his hand, on the knife. He barged into the room, and all of a sudden, a mysterious force repelled him from the room, and the weapon was thrown out of his hand. Why? Well, the girl in that dorm that night had fallen asleep with a rosary in her hand. Before she went off to college, she said to her mother that I promised to pray the rosary every night before I go to bed as for protection. Well, that night, as often happens, if you try and leave it to the end of the day, you're going to fall asleep. She fell asleep. When the cops came, they saw the girl in a basically catatonic state. She was like paralyzed with fear. She said she didn't want to talk to anybody but a priest. They got a priest, a Monsignor came, and she told the priest that what she had told her mother about making that promise. Years later, when Ted Bundy was on death row, he asked to speak to a priest. Guess which priest came? The same one. And they had a little conversation. And Ted Bundy said to him, you know, there's something I don't understand. That last night, that was the last killing that he did, I had killed those 2 girls, and I went into the other room, and some force threw me out of the room and threw the weapon out of my hand. Can you explain that to me? Actually, I can't. That's what the priest said. He said, I talked to that girl that night. She had made a promise to pray the rosary, and she had it in her hands. You weren't aware of it, but there was a power in those beads that threw you out of the room. This thing, my friends, has power. Saints of old would simply lay it on people who were possessed, and demons would shriek out of them. You know, today we look at this and we say, oh, that's just nonsense. No, it's not nonsense. This thing is a sword, my friends, a sword.
Many people have asked the question that why do we have to say the rosary every day? Why do we have to have the rosary every day in our homes? There are a couple of teachers, great teachers of our faith, who had some very interesting things to say about this very old practice. St. Louis de Montfort, one of the greatest teachers and promoters of the rosary, taught us that if you say the rosary faithfully until death, I assure you that in spite of the gravity of your sins, you shall receive a never-fading crown of glory. He added that even if you are on the brink of damnation, even if you have one foot in hell, even if you sold your soul to the devil, as the sorcerers do who practice black magic, even if you are a heretic as obstinate as the devil, sooner or later you'll be converted and will mend your life. Pope Pius IX taught us that among all the devotions approved by the Church, none has been favored by so many miracles as the devotion of the Most Holy Rosary. Pope St. Pius X taught us that if there were 1 million families praying the Rosary every day, the entire world would be converted and would be saved. When Our Lady appeared to the 3 young children in Fatima in Portugal in 1917, he left them with one important message, that said the rosary every day to obtain peace for the whole world. Pope Pius XII taught us that there is no surer means of calling down God's blessing upon the family than the daily recitation of the rosary. Pope John the 23rd, on the other hand, told us that the rosary is a school for learning true Christian perfection. If we want to walk in the way of holiness or to learn how we can become better disciples of Christ, the rosary is a sure way of learning all of this. Bishop Patrick Boyle came up with a very interesting message for us. He said that the rosary will lead to your conversion. And he said that no one can live continually in sin and continue to say the rosary at the same time. Either he will give up the sin or he will give up the rosary. The rosary will lead to your conversion. Father Patrick Peyton, that famous Holy Cross priest, known for the family rosary crusades, taught us that if families give Our Lady 15 minutes a day by reciting the rosary, I assure them that their homes will become, by God's grace, peaceful places. At the very center of the Rosary is a message of repentance, a message of conversion, a message of holiness, and an experience of a peace that the world cannot give us.
If I can say one thing, I say pray the Rosary every day, because if you do that, that will bring down graces on you, which will facilitate and enable you to do all those other things that we need to do. Take up the weapon. That's what Padre Pio used to call the Rosary, the weapon. He used to yell out to the brothers, "Bring me my weapon! Bring me my weapon!" Weapon against evil. And I submit to you that there is a lot of evil that needs to be fought today. My brothers and sisters, every one of us has to be engaged in this battle. You know, you can't sit on a fence anymore. You can't pretend there is no problem. And by the way, every one of you listening, you have an obligation too to spread this to other people, to get other people to pray the Rosary. Have a rosary in your home or in your parish.
If you are looking for change, change that will radically transform every single aspect of your life, pray the entire Rosary, all of the mysteries of the Most Holy Rosary. If you do that, if you persevere in praying the entire Rosary every single day, and you persevere with humility and with docility, I can assure you, your life will be radically transformed. Your death will be radically transformed. You will be changed by the power of the words, "Hail Mary, full of grace." You will be changed by having the life of Jesus Christ flowing through your mind throughout the entire day. Every sacrament that you receive, every suffering that you experience, everything about your life will be transformed and elevated by the powerful intercession of the Immaculate Heart of Mary as you meditate upon the life of her divine Son. If you want the ability to change your life, if you want the grace to be able to help change the lives of your family and your friends, pray the entire Rosary every single day. If you want the ability to help impact the outcome of history and of human events, pray the entire Rosary every single day. This is how the Rosary was intended to be prayed. The Marian Psalter was meant to be broken up throughout the entire day. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 tips to help you pray the entire Rosary. The first tip for praying all of the mysteries of the Rosary is always, always, always carry a rosary with you. Having the rosary with you makes it more likely that you're actually going to pray the rosary. And even better, carry the rosary with you on your person. So preferably in your pocket, or even better than your pocket is your hand. Having the rosary in your hand is like holding the hand of the Virgin Mary. The second tip for praying the Rosary is only do the introductory prayers such as the Apostles' Creed, the Our Father, and the 3 Hail Marys. Only do that with the first Rosary of the day. Those introductory prayers are just that, an introduction to one larger, bigger prayer. You don't have to pray the Apostles' Creed over and over again. Tip number 3, the Rosary was originally called the Marian Psalter, and this prayer was meant to be broken up throughout the day. So break up the Rosary throughout the day. Some people find it very beneficial to put themselves on a...
I didn't really know what to do. You know, it seemed unnatural, but I didn't really know the answer of getting this to stop. And that next weekend, I actually talked to my little brother and told him what was going on. He advised, you know, you might want to start praying the Rosary 4 times a day. But he said, just try it for 7 days. Try praying the 4 Rosaries for 7 days straight and see what happens. And so I was like, okay, fine, you know, I'll do it. He had always told me that there is a grace we get from praying 4 rosaries a day as opposed to 1 or 2. Because there's 4 mysteries of the Rosary, if you pray all 4 in one day, there's graces we receive, and he kept stressing to me that it would change my life. And I thought that was a bit much. I didn't, you know, totally believe him. I thought that was somewhat nonsense. But I told him, okay, I'll do the 4 rosaries a day, and I'll do it for a week. And so I did that, 4 rosaries a day. That was May 10th, 2019. and I have not stopped praying the 4 rosaries every day since, and it's entirely changed my life as my brother had told me it would. Those temptations, that diabolical obsession, stopped. Yes, I still have temptations here and there, but I'm much more readily equipped to deal with them, and that's because of the graces that I've received by praying those 4 rosaries every day. Because of that, I have not stopped praying 4 rosaries every day, and I don't plan on ever stopping. It's like Mary orders your mind. Your perspective and the way you view the world and the things in it changes. It has made me want to do the things that I didn't seek to do prior. It has made me want to go to Mass, which I didn't want to do.
The one that St. Dominic preached. In 2002, Pope John Paul II added luminous mysteries to the Rosary. It was inspired by God because the luminous mysteries correspond to what is under attack in our culture. Baptism, the sanctity of marriage, Orthodox teaching, the divinity of Christ, and the real presence of Jesus in the Most Holy Eucharist, and the sacred priesthood. The luminous mysteries don't take anything away, but add to it a fuller view of the life of Christ. And it's even a better deal because you can pray more rosaries than the saints did, and hence be even greater than them.